Um, Hello, everybody. It's Adonica Albert with You Do You Unfiltered, and I'm talking with Shawn Rivers. Sounds like you're a musical star. You should be singing the Shawn Rivers Show, or the like you should be on stage somewhere with that name.
I love entertaining. In
Good.
terms of like a musical number, I think everyone thinks that they have a good voice when
Yeah,
they're singing in the car or singing in
yeah,
the shower and you can't hear yourself, but
yeah.
everyone else can hear you for sure. So I don't think I got that musical gift, unfortunately.
Well, and my husband and I have both two different genres of music. So he's heavy metal, like and I love the TLC, the country, and all that great stuff. So when a song comes on that perhaps I like, he just turns the music up a little bit if I'm singing. But then he goes, "But you have a really nice voice." I'm like, "So why do you turn the music up?"
Yep.
So, but comedy could be your jam too. Like you can be on stage with comedy.
Yeah,
If-
it's interesting. I've heard that before, and someone had recommended that I had read a book called Introduction to Comedy
Yeah,
or stand-up comedy, something like that. I I think I'm more of a sarcastic person, and so in dialogue and conversation I
yeah,
do well, but just to go up there and throw a couple one-liners
yeah.
or however you're gonna do it, I don't know if it's necessarily me.
It's so funny because I'm very sarcastic too. When we're sarcastic, people just don't get it.
No.
It's like, "Hmm?" Or they just thought that you hurt them. Like,
Yep.
just a joke,
Yep.
just a joke. But I interviewed
Nope.
a comedian and I was like, "Did you jump out of bed and say I want to be a comedian at 2 years old?" And he goes, "No." I said, "Okay." It's like, so it's anywhere, anything you do in life, and like we know through your story, is you'll find your way. And you did.
Mm.
So let's introduce you because
Hmm.
you have a lovely introduction that you wrote, and I'm just gonna stop in between everything and ask you questions because I like doing
Sure.
that. Right now
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have my Lois Lane glasses on because I can't read anything if I don't. Okay, well, Shawn grew up as an overweight child, bearing this throughout his high school. Very much overweight. Like,
I would say at least I weighed more in high school than I do today.
okay, okay.
So I was close to 200, 210
Oh,
pounds throughout high school,
that's
varying, going
tough.
up and down a little bit.
And that's tough. And I think about kids nowadays in school, like the easy pick on, bullying, easy pick
Hmm.
on per people in the playground or in the classroom, and that's just tough. And during your junior year, you began learning the base knowledge of strength training, nutrition, and dropped over 20 pounds from his junior to senior year. Fantastic. On your
Hmm.
own.
Yes and no.
Oh,
On my own in terms of I did my own nutrition and things like that and only made like a couple of small
yeah.
different changes.
Yeah.
Um, I was playing football at the time in high school, and we actually had a student that had transferred in our junior to senior year, and he really took me under his wing and
Nice.
showed me the ropes in terms of how to lift weights and
Yes.
uh, build strength, core, calisthenics, all of these different types of things as we were training together.
Yeah, and being a personal trainer myself, it's that's a nice thing when you're able to do that with somebody and teach them the right way to get off the floor, the right way to get off a chair. Because I
Mhm.
think with everything, functional training is so super important in our daily life, and then the strength comes with it, and everything
Mhm.
else comes with it. But we'll get into that because that's what you do. Okay, now where am I? This is where his love for diet, exercise, and lifestyle first began when he went to college. Where'd you go to college?
I went to a small school called Bridgewater State University.
Okay,
Yep,
that's
it's in
where.
Massachusetts.
Okay. Never heard of it. You guys have so many universities and
Yep.
colleges and all that great.
Hmm.
We have like 20
Yeah.
in our whole
Yeah.
span of Canada. So yeah. Okay, so here we go into that lovely little story. So I'm just but okay, so in 2019, you were arrested and wrongfully accused of a DUI. Tell us about that.
Mm. Yeah. So to run you through what had happened here, I was actually working on campus.
Mhm.
Um, I was setting up tables and chairs. That was pretty much the gig.
Yeah.
And so really easy job. But
Yeah.
regardless, I was working over our winter break, and so there were no students on campus,
Yeah.
just the faculty and things like that and
Mm.
staff like myself. And so I got out of work at 5 o'clock that day. It was a regular 9 to 5. And I was driving out of the parking lot, and now I took a left when it is a right turn only.
Oh, geez.
See, the issue is that when you take a right, you drive all the way around the school just to get
Right.
back onto the highway
Right.
versus
Yeah.
taking a left. It's like a quarter mile down. So I took a left every single day, and there was a lot of people that did.
Yeah.
Just happened to be that luck. I had a police officer pull me over after that. So I was pulled over at 5:02.
Uh-huh.
Got to work right at 5 o'clock. And so I had a police officer that had went over to me, and he said, "Do you know why I stopped you?" I was like, "Yeah, I took a left on the right only." And he was like, "Oh, well, I smell marijuana in the car." And I was like, "Okay." And I'm just 18-year-old kid here, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Um, and so he was like, "Were you just smoking?" And I was like, "No, I just got out of work. I've smoked in the car before." And he was like, "All right, well, get out of the car for me." And I was like, "All right, sure, whatever." And he was like, "Do you have anything in the car?" I was like, "Yeah, I have a little bit of marijuana in the car." So
That's-
uh told him where it was. It was in the center console. It was about 2 grams, or the equivalent of, at the time, $20 worth.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I was going and selling it or anything. Um, he had me take a field sobriety test. So I walked in a straight line,
Yeah.
which was fine.
Yeah.
And then he had me put one leg up and balance on one foot. Um, on my right foot, I lasted 60 seconds.
Yeah.
And then he said, "All right, you're good." And then on the other foot, I was a little wobbly, and I lasted about 23 seconds. And then he handcuffed me from there and said that I was driving under the influence.
Okay, wait a minute here. I'm sorry, but I know I know for my own self is that balance is not perfect on each side.
Hmm.
What was he thinking? Like what? Like it was a young cop? Was he a young
He
guy?
was not. He was not.
Oh,
It was a
like,
campus police officer.
so
Um,
tell me the difference. So we don't have campus police officers in our
mhm,
universities. Now we do have police officers in our high schools.
mhm.
What is the difference between, because I'm a true crime girl and I see a lot of crime, like, what's the difference between a campus police officer and a normal police officer? Like the,
That I don't actually know the
really?
difference. Yeah,
But
I
do they
don't
have the
actually.
same rules as, do they like,
Honestly, your guess is as good as
oh,
mine.
oh,
To say that I went through what I did, I would say that everyone has all the same rules and
yeah,
things.
yeah,
Is it more of a starter position than
yeah,
a city
yeah.
police officer? Who
Is it a
knows?
power trip?
I, you know what? Your guess is as good as mine.
I know, I have.
You
So
know?
okay, so he handcuffs you. You're probably
Hmm.
going, what the hell is going on?
Hmm. So I'm confused, and I'm rather taking it lightly
Right,
because I didn't feel like I did anything wrong. I was like,
right.
okay,
Except you
whatever.
turned the wrong way.
Yeah, I turned the
Admitted
wrong
to.
way.
Yeah,
Okay, uh had recreational drugs in the car. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
We went down to the police station. He booked me. I had to come get someone to pick me up because they towed my car.
Jeez.
Um, and so someone came and picked me up. They bailed me out for $40. Which, yep, I gave them the $40 back later, and then they
Yeah,
went and uh drove me back and dropped me off. And then I was like, all right, well, now I have to get my car. So the next day I had to show up to court.
right.
Again, still didn't really know what was going on. Ended up going with a public defender, but then later I was like, ooh, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna go and hire my own lawyer.
Yeah, yeah,
Hired my own lawyer from there. Went, and it was actually the first week that after this had happened, I was still driving around.
yeah.
Because they didn't take my actual license or anything. And so I was just driving around. I had no idea. But then I got a letter in the mail that told me that my license was revoked. And I was like, oh, all right. Well, I
I got
wonder
my
what would I.
license.
Yep. So the registry can revoke your license without actually taking the physical copy.
But
They
you didn't
can.
know. I'm assuming you didn't know anything.
I
Like,
had, I had no clue.
let's not
I
inform the
was.
public.
Yep. So yeah, that first week I was just driving like there was
No, but doing
nothing
rights
wrong.
instead of lefts,
Yep, taking rights
going
instead of
right,
left, following the rules. Yeah.
follow the rules
Um,
until you got that letter.
until I got that letter, and then I was like, oh, I guess I'm not driving anymore.
Yeah,
And so yeah, from there, like this had happened over winter break, but then I had been going back to school.
yeah.
Um, so I had went back to school, and the school actually told me I was living in the dorms at school.
Mhm, mhm.
And they told me that because of this incident and because it happened on campus, they actually kicked me out of the housing.
Oh, Jesus.
Um, so then I had to commute to school,
Mhm.
but I had to commute without a license as well. So that
Little
was a little
challenging.
tricky,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So my mom would go and drop me off on a Monday,
Yeah.
and I would go with this big huge backpack with all my clothes in it and everything. And I would go and stay at this friend's house on Monday night. I would go and stay at this friend's dorm this night. Hey, you got an extra bed? I'm gonna stay
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go sleep on the floor here. And I did
Wow.
that for the rest of the school year.
Crazy. That's nuts. I don't understand.
You know what? I don't understand either, but you know what? I don't think we
This
have to
is not
understand
very long
everything.
ago either, because you said 2019 and we're
Hmm.
2024, so you're not an old yeah, like,
Hmm.
this is just recent.
Yeah.
So
So
but you weren't kicked out of the you were only kicked out of the dorm, not school. Like, school had you.
not school.
Okay.
School had me, but I was
Yeah.
kicked out of the dorms
Oh,
for some reason.
God.
Yeah. So not completely sure why, but you know what? Here we are, and I
Yeah.
somehow figured it out and made it through that. It just was all the repercussions that comes with it,
Well,
right? Because
absolutely.
when you're under 21, it's a lot worse for you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
I ended up losing my license for about a year and a half.
God
So I couldn't
dang it.
drive for a year and a half just because I was under 21.
Right.
Um, and then I had gotten 100 hours of community service. You have to pay all these fees. You have
Yeah.
to take this 16-week
What?
course where they treat you like you're a drunk. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't even know why I'm here.
Yeah, absolutely. So what happened after with the court case? So you hired a lawyer
Yep.
and you had to go to court.
I
Did
had a very poor lawyer.
oh, of course, like,
um,
seriously.
um, I now have a couple more connections.
Yeah.
And even just like friends that are lawyers and things like this, and I've
Mhm.
gone over this with them. The lawyer that I hired at the time, um, was referred from like a family friend.
Right, of course.
And what had happened was she really made it seem like I was going to go to jail.
Yeah,
I hired her
nice.
for a retainer.
Mhm.
Um, and every week she would call me for a half hour and we would talk about, I don't even know.
Yeah.
And she just really wanted to run
With my
that container,
diet. Yeah,
run that retainer, run that retainer, run that
yeah,
retainer.
yeah.
Um, because every week I would get an email with an invoice of $300 for half hour conversation.
So
And that's
she's
how we ran that
scamming.
retain. Yeah.
She's kinda scamming.
She's actually not in practice anymore.
Oh, thank God.
Yep.
Everybody out
Yep.
there. But
But
this is good to know for people because, like, for your experience, this is a good experience to tell people, like, don't pick up the phone. Like
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you don't know who to trust, basically.
No, and something
So
like that
important.
teaches you something like that. It may skew your view on trust, but at the same time, like um, you can still trust everyone just
Right.
to a degree. You can
Yeah.
also have expectations with things. But yeah, um, she had really made it sound like I was going to jail and things like this, which for a first offense DUI, you're not going to jail.
So
Um,
was it ever dropped, these charges?
So I got something called a continuance without a finding, which here, what that means is you plead guilty, but
Mhm.
then 1 year after your probation and all the things that you have to
Yeah.
do, it gets wiped from your record.
Okay.
Um, the only thing it doesn't get wiped from is the registry.
Okay.
So if
Mm,
you were going to go and get into trouble again, like have some type of issue driving,
it'll
the
pop up.
registry it will pop up there, but it won't pop up like if you're filling out an application for a job or something like
Oh,
that.
that won't pop up.
Yeah.
But can you cross borders?
Uh,
Can you
what do
go
you
to
mean? Like,
Canada? Like, can you go to Canada?
and get in trouble in Canada and it
Oh,
would
no, I mean, do you have to have a paper saying,
oh
like
no. What had happened was during like the year of probation, they had put a travel restriction on it.
right.
And so pretty much all you do is you call up your probation officer and you
Yeah.
say, "Hey, I'm going to Canada
Yeah.
next month." And they say, "Okay, Or
Okay.
if I was driving to New Hampshire, I'd say, "Hey, I'm going to New Hampshire for the weekend." And you would let them know.
Right. So no more left turns.
No more left turns, that's for
No more,
sure.
just right.
Rights only,
You're gonna
right
have to go
only.
all the way around
Yep,
campus to get out of campus.
yep.
But now
Just
you're here and now you're doing much. I'm going to continue because it's a
mhm,
great story, but I can see how it refines you. It makes you, whatever story you have makes you stronger. And
mhm.
this is how you got to where you are. So let me put my Lois Lane glasses back on because I'm old. Wish we had like exercises for our eyes so they don't decrease, it progresses. Functional exercises. That it doesn't work. Okay, so when that happened, you said over the next
Mhm,
few years you began to have identity crisis. I can imagine.
mhm.
Like I just can't imagine. Like, and then you said questioning authority and developed an inability to trust others, which we just talked about, and even yourself. Because if I were you, like in your situation, I'd be going in my car and searching before I got in my car and drive. Is
Mm,
that the kind of things that
yep,
you just question the trust of yourself, question yourself? Oh, should I do that? Like,
yep.
it's a
At
self-talk,
at
right?
first there was, do I follow this gut feeling?
Yeah.
Why do I feel on edge all of the
Yeah.
time?
Yeah.
Um, but I think that for some reason, like this instance happened to me,
Mhm.
um, just to show others that I can be this beacon of whatever you're going through, you're going to get through, regardless.
Absolutely.
And that's it.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah,
it. And so again, like
yes.
my pain and my um what I've been through is subjective for me versus someone else could go and have a breakup, but they feel the exact same amount of pain
Mm.
that I did going through that situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why you're doing what you're doing. And okay, become take them on. I swear to God, I'm gonna figure out some functional exercises for eyes. Okay, so and then through your hardships, you've worked towards finding peace with yourself, and you've done that. I'm assuming that you do any counseling and all that great stuff to get, or you just worked on yourself by yourself?
Um, so I had had a therapist for about a year, which I enjoyed.
Yeah,
But it wasn't necessarily just because of that situation. I was like, you know what? Lots of people talk about therapy. Let me try it at least.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and I liked the person that I was with, but I didn't necessarily enjoy the process. I didn't feel I got a lot out of it.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but that was just me and that was just my experience. I have
Yeah.
done a lot of different work on myself in
Yeah.
terms of different courses,
Yeah.
different you can throw in meditation, you could throw in journaling, you could throw in retreats, all these different types of things,
Yeah.
and it's this never ending
Oh, it totally
process.
is, yes. But actually, growth is a never-ending story because every day
Hmm.
you grow, and no matter what you get up, there's a new experience going to happen to you as you put your feet on the ground. And
That's it.
either you cherish it or you just put it in the garbage container in your mind. It all depends if it's going to resonate to you. And I think this is a super powerful story that you have, that you've taken it and you've done what you're doing. So we're going to continue because there's more.
Mhm.
Now I gotta figure out where I was. Okay, so and then now, so you work through finding peace within yourself and for others that have harmed him, which is great. Now you teach the importance of resilience, strength, and acceptance. Tell me about that. Tell me about
Mhm.
how, like, what do you do? But like, tell us what you do.
Yeah, primarily I'm a health and nutrition coach.
Perfect. Yes.
And I look at a lot of different factors when it comes to our lifestyle, how we view ourselves, our self-talk. There's more to um, personal development and the physical body
Right.
than just what you are eating and
Right.
just what you are drinking and
Yeah.
how you're sleeping. Now, there's all these different factors that go into it. And so if we can at least start with what can we control putting into our body, we're going to be able to control a lot of different other aspects of
Yeah.
our health and how we view
Yeah.
ourselves and even our discipline, motivation, our resiliency. Because if you can just start with the very, very basics of what you eat, that's
Mhm.
going to trickle into a lot of different other areas. And so when
Right.
you can become disciplined in that, then you're going to be able to become disciplined in a lot of other areas in terms of your mental fortitude or your emotional health or your spiritual health. And all these things are intertwined. And so, how can I give people the best results I can by not just, okay, this is what we eat, this is how much we eat, but okay, these are the behaviors that you have. This is the self-talk that you have. How can we start to change
Mhm.
those? And once you start to view yourself differently, this whole eating and the physical body, that becomes a lot easier as
Oh,
well.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm a big affirmation girl because I
Mhm,
believe too that we are such a chaotic society with so negative thoughts running through our heads that overpower our power thoughts, our powerful positive thoughts. And that's the key here because I know that I don't know about you, but I'm old and people do emotional eating.
mhm,
I'm not an emotional eater. I do the reverse. I don't eat when I'm emotional. So does that have anything to do with what you're talking about? Because a lot of people are emotional eaters. They're
mhm,
just or boredom eaters. Like
mhm,
when I was training people, they would ask, help me with my nutrition. And I was like, Katie, I'm old school. Calories in, calories out, man.
mhm.
Provide yourself with what you need through the day.
Yep.
But the first thing you have to do is check in with yourself.
Mhm.
Where are you in
So
that state of day that state, right?
yeah, so it's really great and important that you brought in state and the state that you're in.
Yeah,
And what oftentimes happens is we operate from a specific state, and that's what creates this pattern.
yeah,
So we have this trigger, it could be in our environment.
mhm,
And here's how I run through this process. Now, this may not work for every single person, but it
right.
can at least be a great starting point to have more
Yeah,
self-awareness.
yeah,
So if you happen to be emotionally eating somehow, all
mhm,
right,
mhm,
um, let's look at your environment first. What's happening around you?
right,
Is it the same environment that keeps dictating this behavior? Okay, then there's a trigger, and this trigger could be in the environment. This
mhm,
trigger could be an emotional trigger. But what happens is that then gives you this emotional state. So you're sad, frustrated, and
yeah,
that's what leads to the behavior of
right,
emotional eating. And then
mhm,
there's some type of reward. And
right,
so
yeah,
this reward could just be that you feel better,
right,
right? Um,
absolutely, yeah,
and so when you look at the trigger, you look at the emotion it creates, you look
mhm,
at the behavior, and then you look at the reward. Once we have that self-awareness around that, then we can go and change one of them as well. Let's say the trigger is your home,
yeah,
okay? And you only tend to emotionally eat when you're sitting on the couch watching TV.
right,
Well, if you didn't sit on the couch and watch TV,
yeah,
then that trigger wouldn't come up, then it
right,
wouldn't happen to that behavior, then it wouldn't happen to that reward.
yeah,
Now, it's easy for me to just go and say these different types of
yeah,
things. It's different for someone to put that into a practice.
yeah,
But just like all patterns and behaviors, they're learned. And
yeah,
so we can also unlearn them.
yes,
And so as soon as you can become aware of any of those different things that I laid out,
yeah,
you can start to slowly change them.
right, yeah,
And
absolutely.
that becomes a lot easier to go and not emotionally eat as well. Now there's that other side of the coin. Oh, were you going to say something
No,
there?
go ahead. No, I'm
Yeah.
good.
The only other thing is
It's getting into my mind.
there's that other component of that emotional behavior, and a lot of our subconscious, it's research shows that before the age of 7 is
Mhm,
when a lot of those patterns and triggers and traumas will go and dictate how you do things the rest of your life.
right,
So perhaps we may just have to, okay, you feel frustrated. When you feel frustrated, you tend to eat.
mhm,
Okay, well, let's look at the first time that you were ever frustrated, or what's the farthest back, or what's the one with the most emotional power of when you were frustrated that led you to eat.
eat,
And
yeah,
let's go and dive into that a little bit.
right,
And then from there, oh, okay, you just didn't understand how to process your emotions, which led you to eat.
yeah.
Now that we're an adult, we can go and look and say, oh, wait,
Oh,
I
wait,
don't need
yeah,
to eat because I was
yeah.
frustrated when I was 5 years old.
Because we don't know. Because actually, I grew up in the '60s, and my
Hmm.
mother said, "Well, go outside and play." If
Hmm.
my brother was having a temper tantrum, get outside and play, burn
Yep.
your energy. So I think what's happened through the stage is that we've forgotten how to play, how
Mm.
to use what we know to help with our minds. Because as a personal trainer and like yours, it starts up here. And when you do what you enjoy, that hormone of happiness creates that happy feeling. So you'll continue to know, oh my God, I did this. I'm happy. and not,
Mhm.
oh my God, I'm frustrated, I'm going to eat. So it's a big changeover when it comes out, and a big growth. Now, when I see, I'm a snacker. I
Mhm.
love cheesies, and not your
Mhm.
cheesies. I love the Canadian Hawkins cheesies. And
Mhm.
I said to my husband the other day, I said, I haven't had a cheesy in 3 months, and I don't even miss it. Like, like what's going on? Because I found something that's healthier for me and I enjoy. So I think
Mhm.
what people have to learn is that you can change. You can you're no one's stuck.
Mhm.
They just need guidance from people like yourself to get unstuck and
Mhm.
create a beautiful life around, and a healthy life, because unfortunately we have a big society of very, I hate to say it, obese kids.
Mhm.
And our health, and your health system and my health system is crazy.
Mhm.
Right. So we have to start somewhere, and doing what you do is starting somewhere, because this is so important. Plus, you've been down that road, right?
Mhm.
Now, quick question. When you've gone through all this training and all this great stuff, did you revisit why you ate and figured out what was your trigger?
I don't think that I was necessarily much of like this crazy emotional eater or anything
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. Um, I think that just how I was raised was more of a you eat everything on your plate.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes it can just be that simple.
Yeah.
And we didn't grow up prioritizing protein or anything like
No.
that.
Yeah.
We kind of just ate what we liked.
Yeah.
And that's it. And for a child at a birthday party, that's great, right?
Yeah.
You eat what you
Absolutely.
like. But as an adult, that's not necessarily what you do. And
No.
so there is some nuance to this because some people absolutely love their diet and they're completely shredded and all these different types of things. And then there's another camp of people of like, I don't like healthy foods or all these different types of things. Like depending on which archetype you are,
Yeah.
let's meet in the middle. Let's
Yeah.
find something that's going to be sustainable for you,
Yeah.
where you
And your
do enjoy
family.
some things, you're going to make sacrifices for other things. Let's
Mhm.
get you to where you want to be, and let's create this better vision of the future as opposed to just reliving this past that you've done.
And for my situation, my mother was very much into eating healthy because she was an overweight kid. So
Hmm.
cottage cheese was our friend.
Yep.
I love well, right now TikTok's got me going, oh, I can make cookies with cottage cheese. What? Like
Yep.
it's been like I've just finished making a bunch of cookies. So I had to warn my husband they're not chocolate chip, they're cottage cheese and chocolate chip.
Yep.
And they're very
Yep.
dense and very moist. But the muffins were, but we grew up on cottage cheese. We grew up on
Hmm.
like soups, and she was very, we didn't have desserts. That was a treat, maybe. Like
Yep.
it was kind of that way. So we have the extreme. But now in our society right now, with the families being so super busy, and up in Canada, because we're big hockey people here, and
Hmm.
you take your kids to hockey practice, the quickest meal to take them to their next practice would be going through McDonald's.
Hmm.
And that to me is, my mother would be packing sandwiches, egg
Hmm.
salad, tuna, and apple.
Yep.
We never did that because we didn't have that reach to go through a drive-through to get that fast food. And I think that's what's happened a bit. But it makes it easier. Skip the Dishes is making it easier. Uber Eats is making it easier, but people just have to make that choice, right? Because you
Yeah.
can eat healthy.
Yep. It comes down to choices for sure. And even with different time constraints and things like
Yeah.
this. And then again, like even with something like McDonald's, it's
Yeah.
convenient. Their marketing is very, very, very good,
Hmm.
right? And people that are a lot smarter than you and I in marketing
Yeah.
are the ones that are creating those
Yeah.
commercials and creating those billboards. And
Hmm.
there's a reason that the color of McDonald's is red,
Yeah.
to go and make you hungry, different things like
Right.
that,
It triggers.
things
Yeah.
that are
Absolutely.
things that are subliminal that we don't
Yeah.
even understand. And so to give like some peace to people that are listening, whether you're one of those parents that are going and getting McDonald's for your
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
um, now, let's just say that that's like a financial component. Let's just say
Yeah.
that, hey, you know what? I need to order from the $2 menu or whatever you have.
Yeah.
You can still go and create a healthy lifestyle around eating McDonald's.
Yeah.
If you're just focused on going and eating calories in, calories out, then awesome. Like go and have McDonald's for that meal.
Yeah.
Just be wary of what you're going to get and understand that you may need to have a couple more sacrifices
Yeah.
on the outside of that. Because even with the quality of that food, I don't necessarily think it's high end.
Well, I call
Um,
them empty calories. It's empty. They're empty calories, right? You're
yeah.
always hungry an hour later.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, even like things like McDonald's and our taste buds, like they are constantly changing and evolving, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a reason why there's all these chemicals and all of these foods to go and make it so that you're wanting them and you're going to enjoy them more because
Great.
there's that certain dopamine release that's happening as
Yeah.
well. And so if
Makes you
you want to
happy.
make it so that you're not craving those types of foods, go and eat as healthy as possible, go and eat as bland as possible
Yeah.
for the next 7 days,
Yeah.
and then go and eat a carton of strawberries after that, and you're going to think that they're God's gift from heaven.
Yes.
Because the healthier and blander that you eat, when
Yeah.
you do go and eat more like things like fruit, they're
Yeah.
going to taste like dessert
Totally
again.
different. Yeah.
Instead
Totally.
of you going eating a cupcake and then you go and eating a strawberry, you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's fine, but it's not the cupcake.
Yeah.
But then if you go and eat some turkey and rice, some chicken and rice, some chicken and vegetables, whatever, and I'm just throwing out some random protein rich foods and things, but then you go and do that for 7 days and you go and eat fruit, then you're gonna be like, oh my God, this is really good because your
Yeah.
taste buds are changing.
Yeah, absolutely. And absolutely. And kids need to know that too as well. Because I do, I eat everything, pretty much everything, but you always have that one child. I don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like
Yep.
that. And that's my husband. Like, how can you not like a cucumber and pickles? Like, though
Yep.
that's my salty, you love a salad, come on. And he's like, I got
Hmm.
gross, gross. But the fact of the matter is that we're so conforming to what our kids want and not teaching them how to eat properly,
Hmm.
right? What do you want today? Mac and cheese? Okay, we're gonna do mac and cheese instead of
Yeah.
teaching them how to make a salad and having them in the kitchen with you. So my kid's
Hmm.
25 and he did home ec right through high school. He loved it. But now he
Yep.
knows how to teach. Now he knows about nutrition and now he can figure out a meal plan for himself because he's in
Hmm.
school right now in the States actually. And do that prep knowing what's good and what's bad. And yes, I'm sorry, you can have a snack. We're not telling you, you're not telling everyone that they have to eat healthy 24 hours. There's going to be a
Hmm.
day that you're going to want a little bag of chips or
Yep.
Halloween's coming. It's like the
Yep.
worst day of the year with little chocolate bars. Like, come on.
Hmm.
So I think what's happened is that if we can change the family inside and anyone else,
Hmm.
it's gonna ship out to everyone else. And the kids
Hmm.
are gonna be benefited from that as well. So yeah.
Like to go and change a child's behavior and think about like changing the behavior around uh of the people that are around you, right? We sometimes want, oh, I want this person to do this for me. I want this person to be more like this. I want my kids to do this. And for anyone that has children, now I do not. But at the same time, like I can speak about this. I've talked to a lot of people that do have children and
Yeah.
helped people change their physiques and
Yeah.
change their lifestyle. And think about when you tell a child to go and do something,
Mhm.
they may rarely do it, right?
Yes. Yes.
But think about yourself now and perhaps your parents. And
Yeah.
so it's very monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
Your your child is not going to do what you tell them to do. Your
Yeah.
child is going to do what you do.
Hmm.
And so instead of going and trying to change every single thing that your child does, if you go and start to do it, they
Yeah.
are going to be much more likely and
Yes.
inclined to go
And
and do
make
that
it
as well.
fun. Make it fun.
Mm,
I know my Evan, that's my kid's name, was
hmm.
always baking with me. Like we always and healthy baking, or he would cook with me, or I get him to peel a carrot or when he was young. And he loved it. And so then there's so many lovely companies out there. Like we have, I don't know if you have HelloFresh, where
Hmm.
you order a meal and then the family gets to prepare it. We do that a lot. We did it
Yep.
a lot. So it taught him how to cook, which
Hmm.
I was busy. My husband was busy. He was in hockey. So we needed quick meals,
Yep.
but they were healthy. And if
Yep.
they weren't healthy, we made sure that if it's not healthy, it's as healthy as it can be for that day.
Hmm.
But activity is huge right now for kids because they're lacking it in school, up here
Hmm.
especially. We don't do phys ed like we used to do phys ed.
Yep.
And that's sad too, but I think we're changing. I think we've got a good set of kids coming up that they're gonna change the world, and we're gonna start growing our food again, because I think that is
Mhm.
super healthy as well. When Saturday came along, it was pick the vegetables out of the garden and weed it. Hated it, but
Yep.
we ate healthy, and that's so cool. I'm just gonna go through here for a minute, and because I want to
Mhm.
talk about something in a minute. So you're the founder of Resilient Health Coaching, and you host a podcast called Growth. I love that name,
Mhm.
Growth. We're going to put everything around in your bio
Mhm.
and your podcast. You'll have to give that to me so people can go and listen to as well, because I
Mhm.
bet it's going to be super interesting. You just talk about some super cool stuff.
Yeah.
So let's flip over for a minute. And do you remember what you wrote about something quirky about yourself?
Uh, I would have to guess it has to do something with guinea pigs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, come
Yep.
on. They look like a
Yep.
large rat, fatter than a rat.
You know what? They are my prized possession.
And then the name
Yes.
of this you have a tattoo
Yes.
of a
Yes. I
guinea
have a
pig, and it's Rasputin. Rasputin.
Rasputia. Rasputia.
Rasputia.
Yep.
Okay, first of all, the name. How
Hmm.
the hell did you come up with that?
We don't know. We really
Oh,
don't.
it's a we. So
Like
it's a we.
yes, so
Family. Okay.
my sister and I had gotten this guinea pig Rasputia, um, close to, I don't know how many years ago. We had to put her down about 2 years ago,
Okay.
but yeah, we just were hanging out at home one day and we were like, you know what? Let's go get ourselves an animal. And I was like, sure. And then we went to the pet store. We saw this little guinea pig and we were like, we have to have it.
Yeah.
And that's all she wrote. Like it was the best
Hmm.
little family member that we have ever had.
Okay, so
So
I've seen guinea pigs on little leashes walking, like on TikTok.
I don't think we went that far.
Yeah, okay, good.
Mm-mm.
Good. Did you have one
No,
of the balls where they put them in and they can run around?
no, the balls are actually bad for their back.
Oh, because they're like
Um,
cooked all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did a lot of research. We actually built a cage for it.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and then we would actually in our living room,
Mhm.
what we would do is we would pad up blankets underneath the couch that
Yeah.
she couldn't get underneath, and we would just let her run around freely
Run,
in the living room.
run,
Yep.
run.
Yep. And
Yeah.
she would love it. She would
Oh, of course.
sprint around.
Of course. And I
Yep.
grew up with hamsters.
Mm-hmm.
And they're
Mm-hmm.
they're they're fun little things.
Yeah.
But we didn't have the balls came out later, but
Mm-hmm.
you'd be a wheel girl, like just
Yeah.
wheel. And of course you lose them in the house because you're like, where in the hell is there?
Yep.
But the dog would find them.
Oh
Like,
God.
oh, there it is. It's like under the,
Yep.
okay, there we are. But yeah, it's when you're a kid, that's your pet. So you get to
Mm-hmm.
take care of it like your
Yep.
sisters. And I think animals are so super important for everyone to
Mm-hmm.
grow up with as well. I
Yeah.
have a cat. Do you have an animal now?
No, no,
No.
my sister has both. We had two guinea pigs when we were both living at home, and then she is in Connecticut now,
Okay.
and she got the luxury of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are they spayed and neutered?
There's one girl and there's one boy, and they have two separate cages.
Okay. I'm
Yep.
like, because sometimes I was talking, my kid's in vet school, so he tells me
Hmm.
where you're like, all of a sudden his guinea pig, we thought it was a boy, it was a baby.
Yep.
And you're
Yep.
like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. But I love guinea. I think they're really cute. Hamsters are cute, but this
Mhm.
is a smaller form of a guinea pig.
Yep.
But yeah, they're adorable little animals. But any animal is going to fill your heart, and
Hmm.
and it's exciting to see. I see a lot of dogs walking out, and I have a cat that likes to be a dog, so it's kind of nice. So, but anyways, it's so great to talk to you today. We're going to put everything, your bio, you send me some social media platforms that
Hmm.
people can find you.
Hmm.
Why don't you send me your podcast link too, and I can put that in your bio too, because it's interesting
Yeah.
that if you're looking for somebody to help you through, if you're stuck.
Hmm.
This is the guy to gonna help you through changing that whole entire situation in your mind first, and then everything else is gonna flow. And I love flow in life, because when you don't have flow, it's hard to maneuver big cracks.
Yeah.
Not flow. And starting with nutrition It's the best thing. Best thing. And
Mhm.
then you get to exercise too. And exercises.
That's quite
Exercise.
important.
That's so
It's
important.
mo-
I know, well, I
yep,
do that at 5 in the morning. So I'm like, that's why I'm half asleep going, oh God, I'm
yep.
tired. But
Yeah, that's not my thing, but
no, it's not your thing. What time do
no,
you?
I don't like the 5. I love to get up. If I could get up at 6 o'clock every single
Yeah,
day,
yeah,
that is between 6 and 6:30.
yeah.
That's perfect for me.
Do you go to a gym?
Yeah. I do go to a gym.
Okay.
Yeah. It just varies on my schedule. I
Yeah.
could be there at 7 o'clock in the morning. I could be there at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I could be there at 7 o'clock at night. It doesn't really
Oh,
matter to me.
yeah. See, the night ones, I'm gonna have my feet up with my cheesies. I'm just kidding. Watching TV. I'm an Orange
Hmm.
Theory girl. You have Orange Theory down there too.
We
So
do. Yeah.
yeah, and I love it because it's 50, 60 minutes in, 60 minutes
Mhm.
out. I am done for the day. I've done my strength training and a bit of cardio, and I might do something else. But it's a great way, like it's a great way to set the mind up. And a lot of people don't know that because we're so easy to just write a prescription because you're depressed. But if you
Yep.
work out, the
Hmm.
hormones that release are just make you happy. They
Hmm.
just make you happy, and you might have a nap. I might have a nap this afternoon. But yeah, but it's been a pleasure talking to
Yeah.
you, and I can't wait to go and listen to your podcast too as well. And hopefully we can reconnect and have another lovely little talk.
Yes.
What
Thank
about
you very
guinea
much for
pigs
having
though?
me.
And yeah. Well, no, I like talking about we can talk about animals. I'm just
Yes.
kidding.
Yes.
But it's been a pleasure, and I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week, and we'll talk soon.
Yes. Thank you very much for
You're
having me.
you're very welcome.